Peace, 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 and welcome to the Grown Man Shift Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Baif Nordine, and I have a super cool guest today. All my guests are cool, I'll be honest, because they're not just people that I have a certain level of respect, a certain level of reverence for, but these are people that are in my circle that I get to pick their brain on the different things, and as interesting they are to me, I figure maybe they'd be interesting to you also, especially on this platform. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my homie, Mr. Amar.
I'm clap for myself too. Clap for myself.
So what's the good word, my brother? How you feeling today?
What's going on? I'm feeling great.
That's good.
Feeling real good.
We did get a good amount of small talk out of the way, and this platform is for men, to men, by men, about men.
FUMU.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? For us, by us type shit. Because I feel like in our immediate circle, there are people who are doing men platforms.
For sure.
I feel like a lot of platforms cater to black men in particular, or a certain demographic of men. This is more like a general. You're going to see white guys. You're going to see Asian guys. You're going to see Spanish guys.
I didn't know that. Let me raise this a little bit. Yeah. I didn't even know that. Okay. Okay.
So this platform, you're also going to see gay guys.
Okay.
On the platform. Just because I feel like as men, the various strokes of manhood that we see in the world, I feel like everybody's voice matters.
I would agree.
To some degree. So
I would agree.
I'll start it like this. When you hear the phrase grown man shift, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Evolution. Okay. Maybe it's the word shift on the end of grown man.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a point in a man's life where you go from, or you feel like you are going from being a boy to a young man to a man, without a doubt.
Facts.
So evolution is the first, like if we're doing word association, evolution.
Nice.
That's the first thing I think.
That's honestly, in a nutshell, what it is for me. I'm just being transparent at 44, being in a place where I've been burnt, I've been jaded, I've had relationships come and go. At my age, making new friends, involving myself or putting my energy out into newer circles is a new venture.
Okay.
And I feel like the maturation of my journey is not a solo journey. Okay. I feel like there's multiple men who are in various stages of their evolutionary journey that they're unsung heroes. They don't get a chance to say what's on their minds or what's on their hearts or share whatever wisdoms that they may have. So the shift is apparent to me because there's more of us having these conversations in private as opposed to on public forums. It's not to say, again, that they don't exist, but you know what I mean. When it comes to manhood, what was your example of manhood growing up? Like, who was your example of manhood growing up?
My father.
Nice.
My father was still in my life. Like, every day I wear dog tags, right? And I never take my dog tags off. Maybe only when I'm sleeping, just because I don't like the chain around my neck.
Yeah.
But these are my father's dog tags because he served.
Nice.
And the reason why I don't take them off is because I know every time I step out my door, I represent him. And so I like to always be reminded or carry a piece of my father with me.
Yeah.
I hear his words, even just the sound of his voice, his walk, his mannerisms, how he treats people.
Yeah.
I never ever want to forget that, and it's not likely I will because we're products of our environment.
Facts.
But I carry my father with me every day.
Nice.
And I talk to him every day.
Yeah.
So, and I'm thankful to have that opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking as somebody who, my pop's been gone 7 years.
Okay.
So I also carry my dad. This is my dad's ring. I don't take it off. I mean, obviously, when I go to bed, I take both my rings off. But for me, it's similar. I carry my dad with me, even though he's not here in the physical. I still talk to my dad
Mm.
Shit, just the other day when we was potting, I'm outside, I'm smoking, I'm talking to my grandmothers, like just everybody that are that has been in my field that recently passed. But I just make sure I give reverence to my dad. Shout Eugene Marion Reed Jr., aka Zaki. I just try to keep his
Zaki.
name alive.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Especially with the space that I'm in as a dad, as a provider, as somebody who's given some level of tutelage and guidance to my
sure.
tribe.
For sure.
So that's dope. It's not a lot of I run into a lot of guys who have a decent relationship with their dad.
That's good.
But I also have a bunch of guys who don't have a good relationship with their
As
father.
do I.
You know
As
what I'm
do I.
saying?
Let me put this on silent real quick.
Nah,
I
you
should've done
good.
that. As do I. I know far too many black men who don't have great relationships with their fathers.
Yeah.
Maybe don't even know them, weren't raised by them.
Yeah.
And again, I'm so grateful to have been raised and to a certain degree still being raised by.
Yeah.
I think and you mentioned your age, I mentioned mine, I'm 40. I'm in the space where I want to get married, right? I want to get married one day. My mother and father have been married for 37 years.
Nice.
And so there are still areas where he is still raising me.
Yeah.
Because if I have a question in regards to marriage, that's who I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
This is going to be my first source of information, my first resource. And so, again, I keep the conversation. We talk every day. And that's my guy. That's my father.
Yeah.
As I've gotten older, and I do think in parenting, you realize that at some point they become people.
Facts.
You know what I mean? You start
100%.
viewing your parents as you a nigga too. Like you've made mistakes at times. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Because when we're smaller, they're like superheroes. They're larger than life.
Yeah.
I'm now also taller and bigger than my father.
Yeah.
And so there was definitely a day that came where I was like, oh, nah, you're a man.
Yeah.
You're fallible.
Yeah.
As we all are.
Facts.
You've made mistakes. You've had to reconcile with some of those mistakes.
Facts.
And so I think that as I'm getting older, I'm a father myself, a father of 3, I look at him and I'm just like, you're amazing, but not because I thought you were a superhero.
Yeah.
Because you're just a person
Yeah.
who has been able to do all these things.
Yeah.
Has been able to maintain a marriage for as long as you have.
Yeah.
Maintain good friendships, maybe lose some friends along the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
To work, to make money, to travel, to just live a full life.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot to live a full life.
They do.
And I witnessed it, him and my mother. And so, and the life they live is just amazing. Again, I aspire to. There's so many things that so many standards that they've set.
Yeah.
That I aspire to.
Yeah.
That's my inspiration is right now. Is who I feel like it should be if we're fortunate enough to have both parents.
Yeah.
Is our parents. And outside of them, I still have just a great circle of men who helped to raise me. I have a lot of uncles. My father was one of 11. Damn. And so, big family. And so I have a lot of uncles, and there's a lot of men who I call uncle who maybe just been around, like my father's friends and my uncle's friends who've been around my whole life.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just have a large circle of influence.
Yeah.
That is male dominant, thankfully. And I'm thankful for that because a lot of people can't say that.
That's a fact.
I'll be honest.
So your sphere of influence, is it primarily because of being Islam, or is it just the fact that it just so happens to be a cluster of men around you?
I think it's a little bit of both. I do think my religion has a part to play in it. You know, one thing about Islam is that, and it's not to segregate, but when we pray, men are with the men and women are with the women.
Yeah.
In the masjid, there's 2 separate rooms.
Mm.
And I don't know a lot of other faiths that operate in that way, but I do feel like that fosters a certain a brotherhood, a kinship. It allows young men to see men. Yeah. Boys to see men.
Facts.
And really be in an environment where you're just all around brothers who are we're praying together, and you pray shoulder to shoulder. There's no seats. You're sitting on the ground. You're right next to each other. It promotes a certain level of vulnerability. I don't, and see, what I don't want to do is diss other religions, right?
For sure.
But I've been in many churches.
Yeah.
And I do think there is some sense of how you look. There is a hierarchy.
It is.
I do feel like in the masjid there's less of that.
Yeah.
Who are you performing for?
Yeah.
The women ain't here. You know what I'm saying? Who you getting fly for?
Facts.
We don't have no shoes on. You in the masjid, ain't no shoes allowed.
Yeah.
I can't see your J's.
Yeah.
I don't know that you got $400 or $500
I just
shoes.
know you got crusty feet.
That's all. You know what I mean? Put some socks on. You know what I mean? Respectfully. So, you know what I mean? It has that. My spirituality is a big part of who I am. My humility, my gratitude, and just the environment.
Yeah.
I do think it promotes a certain mentality. And even when you see the women, which is usually after or before prayer,
Yeah.
they covered up.
It's a fact.
Like what
Fact.
you,
Yeah.
again, what you getting fly for?
Yeah.
From ankle to all you got is this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, you
Seen
do-
her eyes, dog.
Yo,
Dang.
shit. They was blue. Nah, those is contacts. Ain't no black women with blue eyes.
Yeah.
So it does promote a different level of thinking and a way you interact.
Yeah.
Again, you ain't there for the women.
Yeah.
You're gonna be praying around all men, and so
Yeah.
you interact with men.
Facts.
It's so funny. Obviously, we do this podcast where we make a lot of jokes, and pause is a key phrase, right?
Yeah.
In the masjid, you walk in, you see men, they have on thobes. To someone who, if we took the word off it, and you just said, what kind of garment is that? You might say
Look
that's
like
a dress.
Yeah.
Right? So all of that faux masculinity that we have
Yeah.
is kind of removed from you. You got men in dresses,
Yeah.
right? There's far too many times where I go in the masjid and cleanliness is next to godliness. In Islam, we make wudu before prayer. We have to clean ourselves to present ourselves to our Creator. So we all getting washed up. Brothers, you want to smell good. So it's mad times when I'm in the masjid and
Yeah.
somebody's rubbing some oil and it's like, yo, you smell good.
Yeah.
Nobody feels a way about
You
that.
don't, because that's it. You can't. I'll be honest. I wear oils.
I know you do.
They just speak of like masculine energy. It just do. It'd be
It's-
like, is that oud you got?
Yeah, yo, you smell good. Yo, this is, and then somebody will hand you an oil.
Yeah, it's
it's
a
so
fact.
many times where somebody like, yo, you want some of this?
Yeah.
Yo, you'll have 5 different oils before you
That
walk
bitch
out of
smell-
there.
I don't know what I smell like.
Yeah,
but
right.
Man, I smell good.
Yo,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
walk in the
yeah.
masjid, you smell like just your soap. You walk out, you smell like everything else.
It's a fact.
It's a very different environment,
It's a
and I've
fact.
been raised in that
Yeah.
environment, and so I am very fortunate to. I think that does add to speaking about the grown man shift and just walking into manhood. I think that has added a lot to me, and in the masjid again, it's humbling. I walk in there, I'm not Amar.
Yeah.
To most people, if they know me, I'm Lil Jamal. My
Mm.
middle name is Jamal, or I'm Amar Ibn Jamal. Ibn being son of,
Son of. Yeah.
right? So that's Ibn Jamal, or
Yeah.
that's Lil Jamal.
Yeah.
And whether I'm with him or not, my lineage is spoken to. Like almost like when somebody says their reputation precedes them, it walks through the door before you.
Yeah.
That's what walks through the door, who I represent.
Yeah.
And so that's important.
It's funny you say that. So me and my son was watching Karate Kid, the one with Jaden Smith.
I love that movie.
So fire. Like we just, and now he's in karate, so
Oh, dope.
it just all aligns. He's Jaden's 12 in the movie. My son about to be 10, so he's like,
That's me.
He's adding all of this shit up, equating it to like his sense of self or whatever. And there's the part where Jaden takes the little Asian girl out on the town to go have fun, and she ends up being late for her.
It was a piano or
Yeah.
it was a recital. Yeah.
And the dishonor that the girl did by being late
Mm-hmm.
was a reflection on the company that she kept.
Absolutely.
So I'm saying to my son, I'm like, you see how different it is? Because he was like, well, why is he so mad? Is it because he's black? And I'm like, mind you, he's not.
Mhm.
So to even see that, he's like, is it because he's black? I said no, because in Asian country
Mhm.
or Asian
Culture.
culture,
Mm-hmm.
I said that what you do 100% reflects on your family.
Mhm.
It's almost like you don't exist.
Mhm.
When people see you, they see your family. They see your
Yep.
father, they see your mother, they see your grandparents, like they see your whole line. So it's interesting that Islam has that sense of it's a sense of self, a sense of self-pride,
Mhm.
but it's also a sense of family pride. It's like, nah, I represent, it's not just about me. I
At all,
represent
yeah.
them. I represent him. I represent her. So when you out and about, you have to kind of be on your square all the time. because you never want to bring dishonor to your family. You never want to
Correct.
bring dishonor to your family's name.
Yeah.
I would assume that keeps all the checks and balances checked and balanced, because you have that extra thing that's like, I can't be a knucklehead out here crazy.
I carry that with me, not just in the mindset, but wherever.
Yeah.
I'm definitely thinking, if I do something, that's not just Amar doing something.
Yeah.
That's Lil Jamal.
Damn.
That's a weight.
That's a whole weight.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even the thought of I get caught out here doing something, that's even Jamal. That's Lil Jamal doing that.
Yeah.
Or Jamal, what is you doing?
Yeah.
I be thinking, nah, because I don't want nobody thinking Jamal did something.
Yeah.
Because that's a great dude. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So Lil Jamal can't do dumb shit.
My father didn't condone this.
Yeah, yeah, he didn't do that. That was me.
Facts.
So yeah, that my spirituality plays a big part in just who I am and how I operate, but also the circle of influence.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
Have you ever considered, especially how you were raised, how you're continuing to be raised, have you ever considered the type of man you would grow up to be? Did you ever like, man, I want to be like dad, I want to be like uncle, I want to be like a mix? Or was it never really a thought, like a present thought for you?
So that's a great question. It's all nurture versus nature. It's all we're products of our environment. And so the confusing thing, and I think a lot of black men, black kids deal with this, is there's so many different factors.
Yeah.
So although I'm Muslim, I'm raised in a country that, although there's supposed to be a separation of church and state, it's really a Christian-run country, right? Every president is Christian. Most of our government, everything is God values, is on our money.
Values is Christian,
right?
Yeah.
But so there's one part of that. There's society, then there's community. I was raised in Newark, between Newark and Elizabeth mostly, and growing up in inner city, rough areas. There were times where I aspired to be the nigga on the corner.
That's a fact.
He was fly.
Yeah.
He had girls, he had a nice car, he had money.
Fact.
I knew how he was getting it.
Yeah.
I know that didn't always coincide with my morality or values.
Yeah.
But
environmental, yeah.
That's what I see. He's cool.
Yeah.
So there's times when I wanted to maybe go that route.
Yeah.
There's times
porch quick.
You know what I'm saying? There's times where I wanted to be more like my father. There's times when I wanted to be like the athletes on the TV.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that I think we're being shown, and even more so for our kids because they have access to the internet, social media, and there's so much more on TV. So I feel like the more you're exposed, the more things you might aspire to be.
Yeah.
But I feel like it starts with your environment. And so there was times where, like when I first went to college, I went for computer programming. That was my first major.
Yeah.
It's because that's what my father does.
Yeah.
Right. He was a network engineering. And so I thought, if I'm going to go do that, then I'm going to do what my father did.
Yeah.
College was expensive. I've never taken out a loan. I don't owe anything.
Yeah.
Ask me how I paid for college. They didn't give me money. They only gave me money for the first semester. I was doing what the niggas on the corners was doing.
Yeah.
That's how I paid for college, right? For the time I went,
Molly
I didn't finish.
Shit.
You know what I'm saying? So I've tried to live multiple different ways based off of what I was seeing, and so it's just like I said, there's a lot of different factors that I think at different times I was toiling with. I'm a father of 3. And this was going to come out anyway, so I'll just say it now. All of my children from different women.
Yeah, I got 2 baby mothers.
I got 3 of them. And so there was times when I just wanted to be the one who was getting all the girls.
Yeah.
There's consequences to that.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean?
Call kids.
Call kids. You know what I'm saying? And stress.
Yeah.
So I've wanted to be a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of different dudes who I looked up to who I don't even always want to say I aspired to be them.
Yeah.
But I might have envied certain facets of their lifestyle.
Yeah. Some traits was like, ooh.
That was appealing.
Yeah.
Getting all the girls is always going to be appealing.
Always.
And I'm realizing as I've grown and I want to move into marriage.
Yeah.
That has no part in that.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
You just need to be desirable to one person. You don't really need to be desirable to 10.
No.
So
the farce though, because you're desirable to that one person, and you're devoted and dedicated,
You become desirable to 10.
Bruh, it'd be like,
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Do you know I'm married?
Yes.
Happily?
Yes.
Like, are you serious? It's crazy. It's insane. So the man that you have become, because this is a thought that maybe like a couple weeks ago, I don't even know what I was doing, but it hit me so hard. The little boy, when I think about me and in the second grade, third grade, I'm who he grew up to be.
Really?
I never considered that, man, the little boy, that 7-year-old Baif.
Mm-hmm.
When I think about 7-year-old Baif, it's like, yo, you grew up to be me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The man that I've grown up to be, would he be proud of me? He'd be mind blown.
Really? Okay.
He would be mind blown at
Mm.
the man he grew up to be.
Yeah.
Because I never considered none of this. I never considered marriage. I never considered having kids. I never considered being a career man. I never considered being a creative. Like none of these things that I'm doing. Yes, I had the seeds of those things in me back then. I used to tinker with electronics, take apart radios and put them shits together and add them little fans. You remember the cars back in the day? I used to take the fans from the cars and see if I could make a bigger circuit to make the fans work. Some geeky shit, right? But I never considered the type of man that I would become. And now that I'm him, I'm proud.
Okay.
I say all that to say, the man that you have become, would your younger self be proud of the man that you've become? And would it be surprising that you turned out the way you turned out?
That's such an interesting question and a really good question. And let me start by saying this. There was a commercial that LeBron did, I think a year or 2 years ago, and we could look it up. This is when you insert it right quick in the video. Mm-hmm. But there's this commercial where he spoke to his younger self. And it's crazy how they did it, because now with computers, you can, like, they had young LeBron, and it looked just like young LeBron.
Yeah.
And then LeBron, right?
Yeah.
And he's talking, and he's telling him, like, yo, kid, you gonna be the kid from Akron to do everything.
Yeah.
And I watched that, and it was really impactful for me, because what I realized is young LeBron wanted to be the greatest basketball player ever and, like, be on the cover of Sports Illustrated and play for Cleveland, his hometown team, and do these things. He knew that at that age.
Yeah.
And he did all of that.
Yeah.
And I sat back and I thought about this very question, like, if I could have that conversation with 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old me, I didn't know I wanted to be doing any of this stuff. Yeah. So would he still have that same sense of pride? Now, number one, he'd be probably happy that I've survived, because there were times when I was like living how I was like, whatever, man, maybe I ain't gonna make it. Who cares? Yeah. I think he'd be like, damn, you old. I ain't got no hair. That's what like. His first reaction would be like, "This what I look like? Where's my hair?
Look at your beard."
You know what I'm saying? You got gray.
Yeah.
But beyond that, having kids, I think he would be proud.
Yeah.
Have I become who I thought I would? I can't say yes, but part of it is because I didn't have the dream or the vision.
Facts.
A really good friend of mine asked me recently. She said, and she's an educator. She said, "How do you motivate young black men?" Because she was just like, in seeing so many children, she works in college. So at this point, seeing so many young adults, she sees every culture, every ethnicity, everybody. And she's like, but who shows up to college the least is still black men. Who graduates at probably the lowest level, still black men. Black women are killing it, especially in terms of education, with getting a bachelor's, far less at getting a doctorate. I think there's still only 1 to 3% of all doctorates given out go to black women. Yeah. Right. But only like 2 to 3% go to black men. We don't go to that level as often. How do you motivate black men? She's like, what motivated you? And I was like, shit, I probably ain't find motivation till I was a young adult. Yeah. I didn't know what I wanted to be. Yeah. And that's something that I'm trying to curtail in parenting. I feel like a lot of other cultures, and you mentioned, it's dope that you mentioned Jaden in that movie, the way they were driving their daughter. Yeah. Like, yo, you got to be the best piano player or violinist. I can't remember exactly what instrument.
She's violin. Yeah.
Okay, so you got to be the best violinist. You got to do this. You got to be a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer. You got like the way other cultures drive their kids and the way Black Americans do it
Yeah.
is so different.
Yeah.
And I do think by a young age you should start to at least aspire to what you want to do.
Yeah.
Far too many of us don't have those dreams or those goals. Like you're saying now, you're a younger you would be impressed that you're a creative. Did you always know you wanted to be a creative?
I knew.
Aside from the tinkering, you knew you wanted to tinker.
So it's funny. My dad was a graffiti artist.
Okay.
Like he, homies from the Artifacts.
Mhm.
Those was his little mans.
Wow.
Like he played left-handed bass for George Clinton. Like,
Wow. Okay.
my pops was like really out here. One of the illest martial artists in Newark. He practiced under Master McGeady.
Okay.
Back in, like, he was that guy in Newark, like back in the day. So there were a lot of facets that I saw in my dad that was like cool to me. The fact that my dad could sit down and just draw you was amazing. So I picked up drawing as a kid.
Okay.
I can't say that I inherently thought that it would turn out to be a creative, because it wasn't even a stamp back then. It was just artsy fartsy and shit.
Right.
Graffiti wasn't even considered an art form. It was still illegal. Like, what
Mhm.
you doing? This shit is
You bombing.
trash.
Yeah.
But my dad is plenty of trains that I've seen my dad's work on. Like my dad, and I see his joint. Like he like, nah,
That's his tag.
it's ill, super ill. His tag was scientific.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say that I knew I was going to be creative. I knew that I was going to be doing something that would allow me to have my time. I always had that like inherently in the back of my mind. Not like I'm going to be financially independent, because again, in the 80s, what was financially independent
Yeah.
for a black kid in the city with a mother selling drugs and a father doing coke?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So it was like, again, the environment didn't really speak to inspiration.
Right.
It didn't really speak to forward moving toward this thing. But the environment did provide spaces where my imagination could be free. It provided spaces where I could actually wonder in amazement with life. I still have that now.
Yeah.
Like I still look at life with a certain level of wonder and a certain level of awe, because I get to live it. I get to experience all of these different things that, like you said, like I said, it was never a part of the plan. So to be sitting and doing in a podcast studio doing something is like when. You know what I'm saying?
But I feel like that's one of the trappings of our communities, especially where it regards black men, is that because of the lack of exposure, like I mentioned LeBron and that amazing commercial that he did.
Yeah.
But what he aspired to be was a basketball player. We have like 3 or 4 like paths for us to get out, because our thought is survival. We got to get out.
Yeah.
And so basketball player, you know, rapper, singer.
Yeah.
Um,
what Biggie say? Wicked jump shot or selling crack rocks.
Selling rocks, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I left it off, but that's, you know, we know that's a path. Maybe cop. Some people might aspire law enforcement or military.
Yeah.
Like we be seeing, how do we get out? And here are the ways we know we could. And so he aspired to be a basketball player. I never aspired to be an athlete. I didn't want to rap or sing, right? And so I damn sure didn't think I'd be a creative. I didn't see successful creatives.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why I think younger me would be proud, but he'd be like, how you end up here? And I'm a photographer, by the way. How did you get to that? Now, what's funny is my father is a photographer. He, like all my baby pictures, he shot it with his Canon way back in the day.
Damn.
He was a very good photographer. I took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But what I realized, we're going to use a word that we've used on the pod jokingly, epigenetics. I've realized that what was in me was that creativity.
Facts.
I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And so one day when I started to pick up the camera, or I even realized how important imagery was to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn. But I didn't find out until my late 30s.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up the camera until after I left my last corporate job. I thought I was going to be in a cubicle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My mother's an accountant. So when I left computer programming, I went over to accounting. That's what I switched my major to. So I was just following them.
Yeah.
Had no idea what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I just knew, again, these were pathways. They both are doing this. They're successful at it.
Yeah.
They've shown me a way to get out or to make money, I'm just gonna do that.
Yeah.
But younger me didn't know. I would even say young adult me really didn't know.
Yeah. That's crazy though. I didn't know that. I thought you been doing photography forever. Like you was in college taking pictures and shit and all that. Yeah.
I didn't even own a camera till I was 32 or something like that.
Oddly enough, same for me. I picked up the camera. My path through creativity, I was rapping at 13.
Okay.
I started being a closet rapper at 13. Then I started battling like people in my family, because you know everybody tests you. But then I got nice. Like I sharpened my pen enough where I would battle people in the lunchroom.
Okay.
Like lunch period after lunch period after lunch period. I didn't care who you was, young, old, my age, older than me. It didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to get you up out of there.
Yeah.
I fell in love with music. Let's see. Now you're making me think. Because my mom gave me a clarinet when I was 7.
Okay.
That was like the spark of like the creative energy that I've always held, which is an affinity for music. I love music. Playing music, like through high school, I played the tenor sax, had a little jazz band. Like it was up. I was still rapping, but I was rapping because I wasn't rapping about drugs and bitches, and I just felt like my music had a different place, which is why I gravitate toward like Tribe Called Quest and things like that, because I felt like if I'm blessed with the gift to do something, I should be doing something good with it. If it's music, I should be doing something good in my music. I should be doing something uplifting. If it's anything I'm doing, it should be something of value, of quality. You know what I mean? As opposed to just a monetary exchange to get something.
So let me tell you, that epiphany didn't come to me until my 30s, where what I said is that I'm not walking in my purpose. I think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed me with gifts.
Yeah.
And sitting in this cubicle, I'm not utilizing them.
None of them.
None of them.
Yeah.
And because I'm not utilizing them, I'm not receiving the blessings that he is trying to get to me.
Yeah.
I'm not listening. I'm not walking the path that he's laying forth. I'm not that I'm wasting my life, because I don't see it as that, but I maybe am not reaching my potential.
Yeah.
And so when I left that corporate work environment, I told myself I'm not gonna go back unless I absolutely cannot survive. Ain't no other way, because that's
I
what
can always get a job.
Yeah. So I said if I just cannot figure out a way to make a dime, then I'll go back. But I've got to try to walk in my purpose.
Yeah.
That's what I think that. And I think we're saying it just maybe two different ways, but that's what I was seeing it as. And so then I was left with, well, what's my purpose?
Yeah.
What are these gifts? Because I know I got them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they are.
Yeah.
But I do know I like images. I do know there's certain things that I gravitate towards.
Yeah.
And I can draw too.
Nah, you pretty ill, bro. Like on some how your eye is when it comes to photography, creativity, especially being able to add to what's in the creative palette. Like I feel like you really have a good finger on the pulse of what imagery is. Not just photos, not just drawings, but just imagery in general. Like I feel like you could probably have an ill-ass interior design company if you wanted to.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny, and I tell people this all the time, especially when people, and we all got to learn how to take compliments better, because I'm terrible at it.
Yeah.
Especially when people
Black man
compliment.
disease.
It is. It really is. When people compliment what I do, I tell people all the time, I'm not creative.
Yeah.
I really don't believe I'm that creative. I've seen creatives,
Yeah.
right? And they can just create almost seemingly from nothing. That is a creative.
So you don't think you do that?
I don't. I think I don't at all. I don't at all. What I tell people is I'm not a creative. I'm a capable. I'm just real capable of shit. I probably could do interior design because I have capability. Right, I could draw. I can draw. I do graphic design. I obviously do photography. In that creative space, I could do a lot, but my process tells me I'm not a creative, because I am still so. It's almost like I'm an academic when it comes to my approach to anything. I'm researching.
Yeah,
I got to make mood and vision boards. Like I need to draw on inspiration. I need to see what they were doing from the past, how to think innovatively and move that to the present.
Yeah.
Like it takes me a long time to do things creatively, whereas like you said, you were able to rap.
Yeah.
when you can just take a pen and pad and just, that's a creative.
Yeah.
If you could freestyle, that's a creative to me.
That's the pocket I ended up being in. Like I stopped
do that.
writing after a while because the thought and the pen, I felt like the distance
slowing you
was too
down.
far. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was too far.
You gotta let it out.
Yeah,
That's a creative to
Got
me.
you.
That's a creative. The way I work is, like I said, it's I need my laptop, and I got a YouTube University these days. I got to go to class. I do a lot of reading, a lot of learning. I research everything. I need to see how it started from the inception. It was so funny with our pod to try to streamline things, right? Specifically, what you thought. To try to streamline things, there was a moment where we were sitting there saying, can we cut out some of these editors and do some more of the editing ourselves?
Yeah.
And Pop came to me and was like, bruh, I got the time. They gave me a laptop. If you could just teach me how to do this thing, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, got you.
Yeah.
Then I sat back and thought about it, and especially the person I am. And I was like, see, the way I learn things is I'll use Steph Curry shooting a jump shot. You can't just run to Steph Curry and say, teach me how to shoot a 35-footer.
Yeah.
He'll probably start by saying, all right, first put your elbow in here and do like this, and then bring this hand in.
Yeah.
He gonna walk you through it. And then he gonna probably tell you to do this and shoot it 1,000 times
Yeah.
from like 5 feet out.
Yeah.
And then maybe 10. And then foul line. And then,
Yeah.
right? It's gonna be, by the time you're done, it's gonna take you 8 to 10 years
Yeah.
to shoot like Steph Curry, because it took him that long, if not longer.
Yeah.
And so when I sat back, I was like, I can't teach Pop how to do this, because it took me years, and I know how I learn things,
Yeah.
right? And I can't teach you this advanced skill without teaching you all of this. I'm capable.
Yeah.
A creative might be able to go, I can skip some of these steps
Yeah.
because I just got that talent.
Yeah.
I don't believe I have that. But I also think that, and what I try to draw on is the pros and not the cons.
Yeah.
Maybe I can't skip some of them steps, but I might have a work ethic
Yeah.
a creative might not have.
Yeah.
I'm not belabored by writer's block or a block of creativity,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes creators are so egotistical that if they're struggling through something, they just throw the fucking pen.
Hell yeah.
Smack the laptop off the table. You know what I mean?
It becomes, it's no longer a labor of love. Like you said, it's a ego driven thing. It's more transactional than a gift.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a gift is a gift. You
Yeah.
give it. You know what I'm saying? It's something that you sow into the world, not necessarily wanting to reap the benefit for yourself, but you're putting it in the world because other people reap the benefit from your labor of love. Yeah.
And I don't have that, and so I'm never bogged down. One of my favorite quotes, and I'm gonna definitely botch this, is by one of my favorite authors. It's Octavia Butler.
Okay.
And she basically says, don't rely on inspiration. She was like, create habits. And habits are basically techniques and practice, or constantly doing the same thing over and over again, honing your craft.
Yeah.
And before the interview, I'll pull up the actual quote. But basically what she was trying to say is, again, don't rely on inspiration and creativity.
Yeah.
Build productive habits and then rely on that, because you will be inspired even in moments when inspiration isn't there.
Yeah.
But at the very least, you'll be able to do the task.
That's true.
And so that's where I come from.
Yeah.
It's just, even if I don't have a shoot, I'm going to be reading about photography. I'm going to be looking up the newest practices or techniques, looking at the newest equipment and how best to utilize it, so that whenever a shoot comes, I'm ready.
See, I like that though, because I feel like as a creative, a lot of times, and this is the journey I've been on the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
I've done so many things in the moment, and I've been able to pull it off time after time after time. But then there comes a time where shooting off the hip the moment requires a little bit more intentionality than shooting it off the hip.
Yep.
Having the framework allows the shoot off the hip to be even more effective.
Yep.
Because you already have the major bits and pieces. The meat is already on the bone.
Yep.
So if I'm adding fixings to the meat that's already on the bone, it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
We already got the turkey. We already got the steak. I'm just adding some potatoes and some, you know what I'm saying, some gravy and shit to it. So that's what I'm adopted now. Being in a space where even though I don't have a shoot on Monday, I'll be here on Monday If I'm not shooting myself,
Yeah.
I'm here editing. If I'm not here
Yep.
editing, I'm here planning. If I'm not here planning, I'm at least bringing things into the field of what I want to discuss, how I want to discuss it. I'm taking it to ChatGPT. I'm having ChatGPT break it down in bite-sized morsels so that I can attach my shoot off the hip or ability to improvise in this creative space. So I feel like, yes, being a creative is a lot of improvisation. However, you need structure.
Yes.
Structure allows you to get out of your own way.
Mm-hmm.
This is allowing me to get out of my own way. Hitting you up, even though we see each other every
week. Yeah.
but hitting you up in a way that speaks to how I'm hitting other people up is not just because of, it's not posterity, it's practice.
Mm-hmm.
Because at some point, like in my mind with this, I'm already looking at 100.
Yep.
So when I'm doing this, I'm doing this in the mind frame of I'm going to get to 100 episodes. And when I get to 100 episodes, that's when I'll kind of checks and balances.
Mhm.
I feel like there's a lot of runway there, and there's no way I'm going to be able to do this without the structure.
I agree.
Point blank, period. So I feel like every creative should have that space.
I agree.
They should have the framework laid out so that they can be creative without the, but what if nobody likes it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It don't matter if nobody don't like it. You being creative, and that's, nobody can't interpret. Everybody's creation is interpreted.
Yep.
So if I put something out and somebody interprets it as X,
Mm-hmm.
then that's your interpretation. What I put into it is what I put into it,
For sure.
and I'm leaving it for interpretation anyway. So
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And I just felt like for me to give myself the best possible chance to succeed in the creative space, I needed to reverse engineer it. Build the structure and the framework first, and then work backwards and let that last drop be whatever little bit of creativity that I have,
Yeah.
we add that. But everything else is ready. You know what I'm saying? When I approach a photo shoot,
yeah,
I like I said, I got a vision board already of how I want it to look.
yeah.
I'm going to partner with people who I know do their job really well
Yeah.
to achieve that or translate that vision.
Yeah.
Pick a studio or a location that I know can, again, help me achieve
Yeah.
that end product. Everything is done so that when person shows up on set,
Yeah.
I already had this thing worked out. I know what this is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And it ain't going to look exactly how it is in my mind.
Yeah.
But again,
80%, 85%.
And I'm good.
We good. Yeah.
that's all I need. I just needed to be close.
Yeah.
And again, what I might do in that moment may be that drop of creativity that does exist within me.
Yeah.
But the rest of it was planning.
Yeah.
The rest of it was I have a process in place
Yeah.
that is hopefully fail safe.
Yeah.
And that's how I go at it. But I feel like I digress. This was all started from your question of younger me. He didn't know none of this shit.
Yeah.
So he would be proud, but he would be like, what the WTF?
Yeah.
And I'm not mad at that reaction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not mad at that.
What age did you realize that I'll ask it in two different, I'll just break it into two different questions. What age did you realize your growth was your responsibility?
Oh, that's real easy. 22, 23 when I had my first child.
Got you.
That was the monumental shift. That was the grown man shift for me.
Yeah.
Everything changed when my oldest daughter arrived.
Planned, unplanned?
I'm 3 for 3. I can't have planned that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I'll be like, yo, what you doing?
Oh, so you want to get pussy?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, you got it.
You got it.
Careful what you asked for. No,
Yeah.
none of mine were planned, unfortunately, but they all were blessings. So
Yeah.
that part at this point doesn't matter. But when my oldest daughter got here, I was like, manhood starts now.
Yeah.
And it starts now because I'm responsible for more than just me.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that males make kids, men raise them.
Facts. It's a fact.
I was a male up until that point. Males can run around and do what the hell they want.
This mad male's doing a lot.
It's males with kids. You know what I'm saying?
It's a
It's
fact.
just a lot of males out here.
It's a
you know
fact.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But it ain't a ton of men, or I wish there were more men.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I was like, you ready to be a man? Like, it's time to step into who you are.
Yeah.
And I still wasn't ready.
Mm.
So then I had another one, irresponsibly.
Damn.
Because even though I was saying, yeah, I'm ready, I still wanted to run the streets. I still wanted these chicks. I still wanted to live the lifestyle that was selfish, really, right? And I think that is the biggest thing for me was learning selflessness.
Yeah.
I believe kids, if you want to see what you look like, you look in the mirror. If you want to see who you are, you look at your kids.
Damn.
Right? They are the best reflection of you.
Oh. If you want to see yourself,
you want to see what you look like,
look in the mirror.
Look in the mirror.
You want to see yourself, look at your kids.
You want to see who you are.
Yeah.
You look at your kids.
Damn.
They're going to tell you more about who you are as a person than anything else in the world.
That's true.
If they hate your ass, you got to think about why.
Yeah.
That's going to tell you who you are. If they love you, you think about why.
Yeah.
It's still going to speak to who you are.
I never thought about that.
So that's what kids did for me. And so after I had my first one, I started to learn a lot about myself.
Yeah.
Not just what I look like, but who am I?
Yeah.
Then I had a second one, and what was immediately evident was, you a fuck nigga. Like, yo, you just had another one? What you doing? Yo, slow down, right?
How far apart were?
This why I said fuck nigga. So my oldest is 16, right? 2.5 to 3 years later, I had my second one. She's 13. 18 months later, I had my third.
Woo.
She's 11.
Still ain't get it.
You
You still ain't get it.
Yo, what's wrong with you? So that was first and foremost. I was learning a lot about myself in a short time. And I'm still, mentally, I'm a boy. I'm a young man.
You're not even 28 yet.
No.
Yeah.
All my kids before 30. So I'm a male. You know what I'm saying? But moving towards becoming a man, shifting towards becoming a man. But they were telling me so much about myself. And aside from you're irresponsible, aside from you're reckless, also you're very selfish.
Yeah.
And if you don't curtail that, if you continue to be this selfish person and not a selfless person, you're not going to have your kids.
Yeah.
You want to keep running the streets, or do you want to be a father?
Yeah.
Because you can keep doing that. These women are going to go ahead and raise these kids. They're going to do it without you.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're not going to have access to them. And the kids are going to end up hating you.
Yeah.
Right? And I love my kids.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, them kids were showing me every bit of who I was. They just revealed me.
Yeah.
There was nothing. I couldn't hide from me no longer.
It's true.
And when I really wasn't able to hide from who I was anymore, then it's time to start addressing the shit that I don't like.
Yeah.
And maybe trying to work on, amplify the things that I do like about myself.
Yeah.
But there was at the time a lot more things that I didn't like.
Mm.
And it all stems from selfishness.
Yeah.
And so as my kids were revealing to me more and more who I would even see, even to this day, I see pieces of me, or a lot of me in my kids, outside of just the physical. Again, when you look at something, you can see what it is. You got to look deeper to find out who or what it is.
Yeah.
But I can see facets of their personality where I'm like, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
You know what?
100%.
Because I know that's me, let me speak to them in a way where I'm trying to impress upon them, this is what this will lead to. Yeah. And I know it because I experienced it.
Yeah, yeah.
And let me help you.
Yeah.
My youngest daughter, and that's when I feel like God really was trying to sit me down. My youngest daughter, her birthday is a week before mine. We're both cancers.
Mm.
She came out and she looked exactly like me. So my third child, same sign. My twin, and I feel like God was saying, this is you.
Yeah.
Do you not see what you're doing?
Yeah.
Like, first one, she looked like you. Cool. Second one, to me, she looked more like her mother. Her mother says me. That's what happens in parenting, right? Yeah. We constantly see the other parent. But the third one, undeniable. Like, bruh.
You the pappy.
Yeah. This is your twin.
Yeah.
If you don't do something with this, I've cloned you.
Yeah.
Raise you.
Yeah.
Sit your ass down and raise something.
Yeah.
And so I had to really take this deep dive. And I needed help with the deep dive, too. I go to therapy.
Yeah.
So I had to start to take this deep dive. And like I said, it started with the first one, and I just gradually continued to learn and grow.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning and growing. You know what I mean? I'm still becoming more and more of the man that I want to be every day, I feel like. And I feel like I'll be much closer, again, I mentioned married, when I get married and find life partnership. there's a lot of things that I still want to do. Like, although I'm 40, I've gotten to 40 and I feel like I'm young.
Matt, I kid you not. I feel younger now than I've ever felt in
Same.
my entire life. Yo.
Same.
It's a weird space because when I was 14, 15 and I looked at 40, I was like, man,
damn,
I'm old as hell.
Right. You about to die.
What? Like, you got 1 foot in the grave.
What you doing?
Now it's like, nah, dog. I feel like because the things I worried about growing up.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about finances. I'm not worried about finding my purpose. I'm not worried about moving and putting value into the world on a daily basis. Like, there's certain things that
the pressure of that is crazy.
Say that again.
The pressure of that is crazy.
It's insane because like you said, we grow up with survival.
Yes.
We don't grow up with thriving.
Yes.
We don't grow up with abundance. We grow up with just enough to make it work because it's just enough to make it work, and it's just enough to make it work.
Yeah.
And that does something to how you approach everything.
For
it
sure.
does. So in this space, it's just, I can tell that we're not old.
Yeah, no, I'm
You know what
not
saying?
old.
I can tell because the energy we bring to a room, people still guess. Yeah, you got the salt and pepper, but people still be like, what you, 30? Something?
I do get asked my
Feel-
age.
All the time.
If I cut this facial hair off, I probably would look very much younger. The salt and pepper does age me. The salt and pepper does it, but
turning 22 years old
Quick.
automatically.
but I am realizing that I'm not as old as I think I am.
Yeah. What's some of the things, or maybe one or two examples of, like, in this maturation process, that it was an ideology that you had, that you stood firm on, and now that ideology has changed? So the things that have happened in your life and your process, how have those things changed?
An ideology that I used to have, or a thought process
Yeah.
that I used to have, that has completely upended. Number one was live with no regrets. I used to always think, like, I ain't gonna have regrets. I don't have no regrets. What I did, and that's what it is. And as I've gotten older, I think, damn, that was stupid. Shit, where did I get that from? Because I have mad regrets.
Yeah.
And I think when you have some regrets, you also reflect.
Yeah.
And you can do better, and you can learn from. And not just this mentality of, I did it.
Yeah.
And so,
well.
yeah. So that was probably the biggest thing. And again, thinking about maturation,
Yeah.
that was the biggest thing I had to let go of, this standing on business shit.
Yeah.
I don't have no regrets. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Being stubborn
Yeah.
and ignorant.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I can be educated every day about something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can learn something every day. If I find something out that I didn't know, oh, shit, let me look more into that.
Yeah.
And, man, I might have been making a mistake all them years. Let me make sure I don't make that mistake no more.
Yeah.
And a matter of fact, I wronged somebody. Let me go tell them.
Yeah.
I think about how in my mid-30s, I started to reach out to the mothers of my children to try to have these really open, honest conversations, but start with apologizing.
Yeah.
I used to try to stand on business of living with no regrets. Man, I did what I did. After one day, I really sat down and reflected, and I was like, yo, I was terrible to them at times.
Yeah.
Like, terrible. And I need to say that.
Yeah.
Why live this entire lifetime and never say, I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Like, it's so simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
And say it and mean it.
Yeah, for sure.
And start with that, and then say why, if they're willing to even listen, because I had let so much time pass that maybe they just don't want to hear it. Maybe they resolved it in their own way, because we do that. We compartmentalize, we bury it, and we move on. But I still have to deal with these women.
Yeah.
And I love them all.
Yeah.
I don't have no ill will, hatred, or anything
vitriol
against them. No vitriol.
Yeah.
I just was immature and irresponsible. I was reckless in my decision making.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with going back and saying, yo,
It's a fact.
I was immature.
Yeah.
I was irresponsible. I was reckless.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not justifying what I did,
Yeah.
but I want you to know where I was
Yeah.
at that time.
And I'm aware.
And I'm aware.
Yeah.
I am not that person. I don't want you to view me in that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can be better moving forward if you don't still view me in that way.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And so doing away with that whole I don't have no regrets was big for me.
Mm.
That was the big ideology change.
Yeah.
Ideological change.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting because I have a tendency to idealize my relationships. I look at the best
of it, yeah.
in everybody off rip. Like you
Okay.
have to do me dirty for me to be like, well, I guess that ain't work, right? That's one that I have changed over time.
Okay.
I still give people the benefit of the doubt because I don't know you.
Okay.
However, there are certain checks and balances that I do, like in a business situation. I'm not doing business with you if I can't sit down and break bread with you.
Understood.
If I can't break bread with you and kind of get a feel for who you are in a comfortable environment, I still don't know you yet. So there's certain things that I regret for having this ideology of, people are inherently good. But it also depends on their situation, how they were raised, what kind of things has happened to them in their life where the inherent good is now inherent bad because they're in survival mode all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be me first.
Feast or famine.
You know what I mean?
Feast or famine.
So
Yeah.
that was one of the things that I really fell on the sword of that, like mad times. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Which is what took me so long to come on board here.
Yeah.
It was like, nah, nigga, I ain't fucking
understand.
with nobody. I'm chilling. I could just be a regular dude, live my life, figure something out. You know what I mean? Bop, bop, bop. But I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to experience both, to find my own middle ground. Just because I don't think I'm a bad guy. I think I have a solid character, same character throughout my life.
Right.
Like anybody that knows me 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I'm still pretty much the same guy. I've just matured in ways that I needed to.
Yeah.
And I sat down in a lot of ways that I needed to. You
For
know what I
sure.
mean? Like
That part.
being positive, there's no trophy for being a positive guy. There's no trophy for being an optimistic guy when the positivity and optimism is based on being a people pleaser.
Yes.
That was my Achilles heel. Like, nah, man, I just want to go along to get along. I don't want to cause no problems. I don't want to make no waves. And it's like, well, if you're doing something with purpose, you're going to make waves. It's just part of the
Absolutely.
course. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've never been going along to get along.
Yeah.
I'm not super confrontational, but I also I like to get things the way I like that. I like things my way,
Yeah.
right? And so I know in order to get the things I've wanted, I've always known to get the things I wanted, it's going to make others uncomfortable at times.
Yeah. Fact.
I've always been okay with that.
Yeah.
But what I had to learn was the piece that you don't have to be an asshole
Yeah.
to have things your way. You can be compromising. You can be conflict resolution minded.
Yeah.
You can go to people and say, just be honest and lead with your intentions. This is what I'd like to see happen.
Yeah.
And how can we both get what we want and we still get to where we want to go?
Facts.
And so that is a piece that I had to learn in business and in just in personal relationships too.
Yeah.
Is you want things your way. You're not going to stop until you get it your way. Figure out how everybody could be
Facts.
happy. Do it amicably.
Yeah. Everybody could win.
Everybody can win, not just you. And again, that goes back to not being selfish.
Yeah.
Being selfless means I care about what it is, what your needs are too.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily put mine above yours just for the sake of putting mine above yours.
Yeah.
Hell, your needs may help me.
Yeah. It's
You know
a
what I mean?
fact.
Let's see you get to where you need to go.
It's a fact.
And again, in becoming a father, I started to learn that you're extremely selfish.
Yeah.
That's part of why you have multiple women with multiple children with women, because you only were thinking about you.
Yeah.
You could have committed to them and honored the commitment.
Yeah.
To any one of them, you know what I mean? You could do a lot of different things. You only are concerned with what your desires are. You know what I mean? Like, you're just concerned with what it is you want, and you're going about it all in the wrong way to get it.
Yeah.
And so that was the shift. That was me learning how selfish I was and learning it through fatherhood.
Yeah.
And then diverting my path.
How do you balance fatherhood with the creative prowess that you have now? Like being a business owner, you know, launching the magazine, doing these different endeavors.
Mm-hmm.
How do you I don't like to use balance. I don't believe in balance. I believe in harmony.
Okay, I like
How
that.
do you find harmony in your role as a dad and your creative endeavors?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned to salute to the magazine, Color Magazine. That's KOLOR.
Yeah.
Gotta plug all my brands and everything.
Think.
And salute to the pod too. What you thought?
Yeah.
How do I find harmony? For starters, one of the biggest benefits about being a creative is autonomy and time. You mentioned that. When shifting from a 9-to-5 to being a freelance creative full time, you're working 24 hours, honestly.
It's a fact.
If the email go off and it's an opportunity, or if the phone rings, I don't care what time it is, I'm going to respond.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we have technology. We got these things where I could always be contacted. But that also means I can always be contacted. And so finding that harmony means, for me, prioritizing.
Yeah.
It means scheduling. It means budgeting. And not just budgeting finance, but budgeting time.
Yeah.
Knowing that I need to devote this amount of time to this, but I also need to devote. And so, again, that's all of that is part of becoming a man, is becoming an adult, is saying these kids come first.
Yeah.
My parents and their needs come first. As they're getting older, they're dealing with some health issues. My mother today was saying she got to go to the eye doctor. My father has dealt with some health issues as of late, so I just told her, if you need me, here's where I'll be. Told her exactly where I'll be at. But she'll be fine. They're together. Shout out to them. But it's about priority. It's about saying, all right, there's a parent association meeting tonight on Zoom at 5:30. I have to make that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm extremely involved dad. So at 5:30, I got this. Cool. Let me pull out the calendar. All right. So any other Zoom meeting or any other appointments I have, either start them at 3 or to this other time, but between 5:30 to 6:30, I need to do this.
Yeah.
Because the kids come first, right?
Facts.
Color Magazine requires that I go find advertisers and sponsors.
Yeah.
Right. So every day I have to commit to, let's say, 5 emails.
Yeah.
Cold emails, and maybe 1 phone call. I got to do that.
Yeah.
And so it really is about, for me, scheduling, prioritizing. But in saying to myself, if you are going to go do this and lean on autonomy, you have control, then you have to be responsible with that control. Because with great power comes great responsibility. Having autonomy is a lot of power. When you work in a corporate setting, they give you everything. They tell you when to arrive, when you're going to leave, when you're going to have lunch. They give you all your resources. Here's the company laptop.
Yeah.
Right. Here's Wi-Fi if you need it.
Facts.
Mouse, keyboard, all your peripherals. Whatever
uniform,
resource you need. Yeah, you know what I mean? Here's paper, pens, highlighters. You know what I'm saying? Everything you need, they try to provide it for you.
Yeah.
So that you just are mission focused. Just do this job.
Yeah.
So they take a lot of power from you. But you get a check every 2 weeks or every month.
True.
And that's just that. And you know exactly what you're going to get. As a creative, a full-time one, you got a lot of power.
Ooh.
You can sit on the couch all day.
Yeah.
Now, you ain't going to make no money.
That's a fact.
You
got your time.
You got your time, though. You know what I mean? You've seen everything on Netflix.
Time.
You know what I'm saying? You could tell me all about Netflix, Hulu, all that. But you ain't did shit.
It's a fact.
And so it's a lot of power in that.
Yeah.
You could be a great dad, like world's greatest dad, and not make no money.
It's a fact.
You could work 23 out of 24 hours and never see the kids.
Yeah.
But make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you got to find the harmony in how much time you want to devote to each different thing. And also you got to set realistic goals.
It's a fact.
If my lifestyle requires that I make $75,000, now I got to figure out how to make $75,000 a year.
Yeah.
Or more.
Yeah.
I have to know if I make 70, then something is going to, we can't eat as much fast food, or something's going to change in my lifestyle.
Facts.
But maybe I needed to give a bit more time, so I only made 70 this year.
Yeah.
And you got to be realistic with all of that. So I'm a big on goal setting, short and long term goals. I'm big on vision boards. I make probably 2 or 3 vision boards a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Like every quarter, or whenever the move, like you accomplish goals and now it's time to next move.
So it's a few different triggers. That's one of them. Have I accomplished what's on the previous vision board? Now it's time to make a new one. Every year I make what I call the, how do I say it? It's basically the your biggest dreams vision board.
Yeah.
Where I just refresh what are the craziest purchases I can possibly make.
Yeah.
Which forces me to search up what's the car you really want, the home you really want, the place where you want to live at.
Yeah.
This past summer I instructed a summer course on entrepreneurship over at Rutgers, and I challenged my kids to do that, and I showed them, like, one of the things I searched up were bed sheets. I found $11,000 bed sheets.
Jeez.
They all was like
9 million count.
Yo, the thread count was crazy. Right? It was goose down, but they were specific geese that you could only get from Canada.
Oh.
Right? It was crazy. And the kids is like, yo, why are you looking at $11,000 bed sheets?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Maybe I want to feel the 9,000 thread count.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Crazy.
Now, I'm not saying I'm going to ever have that. But even just to know that exists, it gives me something to aspire to.
Yeah.
If I really want 9,000 thread count bed sheets,
Yeah.
they're going to cost $11,000. What do I have to do now to get there?
Yeah.
And I was just telling them it's about setting these lofty goals, but also setting more realistic ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
But never allowing yourself to think you only good for 250 thread count sheets.
Yeah.
Go aspire for something greater. And I also think that that's important for me. Some of these vision boards, all of them are aspirational, because going back to earlier in the conversation, where we come from, I didn't see a lot. Like,
yeah.
There were only a few pathways out. I only thought about survival. When you're looking at $11,000 bed sheets, that ain't got nothing to do with survival. That's your mind is out of here.
Yeah.
When you can aspire to something like that. And so, yeah, I'm a big proponent for setting goals, for making vision boards, for really trying to map out the life that it is that I would like to aspire to or live. And I think that has had a big positive impact on just how I go throughout my day.
Nice.
But I do love the autonomy.
Yeah.
I do love that. Like, I ain't gonna hold you.
When I was getting it without the job, I appreciated the level of space that I had.
Yeah.
I could make decisions and choices based off of how creative projects were moving, but I didn't have the discipline to, like, structure my life like I was at a job. So me working a job now and doing all of this stuff, I feel like I have more freedom than I've ever had.
I love
Even though I have constraints and things like that. It's Monday. It's my day off. But I'm able to do this because it's important to me to put something in the world of value, to at least add a space when people hear about whatever they hear about, to be like, oh, well, heard about this podcast, Grown Man Shift. It's a really interesting conversation over there. Because I feel like it's just a part of, it's not the period to the sentence, it's the comma
and the add-on.
You know what I mean?
And don't get me wrong, I be looking for jobs. I look at job boards. If a nice one comes along, I'll take it.
Might tickle your fancy.
Yeah, I'll take it.
2
and
mil,
then
6 months in jail.
And 6 months for that 2 mil. I'm doing that. I'm doing that all day. That's
coming
easy.
out.
What? Just mad sleep and reading. A little yoga. Like, I'm not leaving my cell when I'm chilling.
Yeah.
I'm doing that 6 months. But do that real easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, if the right job came along, I would definitely take it. But I also feel like I'm in a better position to have that harmony, to find that work-life balance, or work-life harmony.
Yeah.
And to set things up in a way that I want to set it up. But that took mad time. I ain't gonna lie. That discipline took time. And I've just learned that as a man, discipline is so important.
It's like the paramount thing to being a man, yo. It's discipline.
Listen,
Yeah.
and I was even telling you before we started the conversation off camera about my Mondays, how I have a certain like rhythm, a certain way of going about things. Even with my physical fitness, that's just a lot of that is discipline. A lot of that is, yo, you've committed to this. You said you was going to do this. So your ass got to get to the gym 4 times a week.
Facts.
It's a lot of days when I want to go.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the days, like I don't want to go in there and whip my own ass. That shit is not fun. But I need the discipline to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that discipline, it bleeds off into other areas of life. And going back to my spirituality, Islam takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
Like I don't pray 5 times a day.
I was about to say, do you pray 5 times a day?
Nah.
Maybe 1.5.
Yeah, I
2,
mean, salute to the Muslims who do. That's a lot. You know what I mean? And let me not say that because it's not a lot. One thing the Quran constantly says is how easy this deen is.
Yeah.
It speaks to it being easy.
You know that's my last name.
I know.
Yeah.
It speaks to how easy it is. And it is easy if you allow that inclusion into your life. And that's what I've realized what the book is kind of telling me.
Yeah.
Because I'm even learning more about my religion as I've gotten older. We make time for the things we want.
It's a fact.
You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
If I want to pray 5 times a day, I absolutely could.
It's a fact.
Even if I had a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
At any time, because it don't take long to bust out a couple of rakats.
It don't.
So at any time, even if I'm in a corporate environment, hey, I'm going to grab this rug. I'm going to go over here real quick. I got to get my, you know what I mean? 2-3 times I got to bump my head.
I see it all the time.
It happens all the time.
All the time.
You know what I mean? And so we do make excuses so often for why we lack discipline instead of just being disciplined.
It's a fact.
So that's something that I'm like, all right, man, there's things that I have to do. Like I said, if I got to send these cold emails out, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Along with I'm gonna go to the gym. Along with I'm going to pray.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to meet with my kids and have a positive word in the morning. You know what I
I'm
mean?
going to cook them dinner.
I'm going to make dinner. I don't care what it else. You know what I mean? We pod every we have a specific cadence to our pod, but dinner's going to be on that table before I come to the pod.
Yeah.
That's a non-negotiable.
It's a non-negotiable.
You know what I mean? There's certain things where I got to do this.
Yeah.
And that is work, and I take work very seriously.
Yeah.
But I take this seriously too.
Yeah.
So discipline is it's so important. It's paramount.
It is. I was telling my son that last night. I'm like, dog, it's because in that same scene with the girl with the violin, when he noticed how well she played, and then he saw how well Jaden ended up fighting, like when he got to the tournament.
Respect.
That's what discipline does.
Yeah.
Discipline puts you in a position where now it's just muscle memory. You don't have to think about where your feet need to be because the discipline got you so on your square. You just there. You don't even notice that you did. Like Jada didn't even notice how nice he was until he got tested.
Yep.
He was in the tournament and them first couple kicks, he ran out the ring. Then he came back. And when he stood his ground, the discipline, it just kicked in.
Yeah.
So my son was just like, you know what, right? You right, Dad. Because he's religious with the things he's into. So he's been working on 2 series at the same time. This one that we came up with called District 4. And then there's another one that he came up with. It's like he did an adaptation of like Sonic and Dragon Ball Z, but he switched it. So Dragon Ball Z is like an animalistic character, and Sonic is more of a humanistic character. He got 40 episodes.
Damn.
Like, laid out the character development, what they wearing, it's insane. He's so disciplined with that shit.
Right.
Like when he's not playing his video game, he's cooking. That's what he said. He's like, Dad, can I use your phone so I can cook on ChatGPT? It's like, so he's super, super disciplined, and getting him to draw the comparisons between this thing that you really enjoy and this thing that you don't really enjoy, the outcome is still the same. Discipline will make the thing you enjoy more enjoyable, and it'll make the thing that you don't enjoy actually enjoyable. Because you enjoy the results. Nobody likes going to the gym. Well, not nobody.
Nah, some niggas love that shit.
People enjoy it.
Some niggas love that shit. I don't.
But there's people who are like, look, I'm going because I know the benefit of doing this. So I'm going to be disciplined to the benefit of doing this.
For sure.
Where we at? Ooh, hour 15. All right, we could bring this thing home.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure kicking it with you. obviously, always, you're one of the guys in my circle that I really appreciate having the space to be able to connect. Because again, there's a lot of people, a lot of men out here that are males that are full of shit.
It's a lot of males.
Who definitely be talking just to talk. And I appreciate that you're not one of them. You're somebody that show up with integrity, you show up with intentionality, and you show up with purpose in mind. So I appreciate chopping up with you. That is Amar.
Let me get you out of here because I do want to say this quote the correct way.
No worries.
Right, before you let me go, because I really enjoyed this conversation. You might have to have me back. This is Octavia Butler. What she said is, first, forget inspiration. Habit is more dependable. Habit will sustain you whether you're inspired or not. Habit will help you finish and polish your stories. Inspiration won't. Habit is persistence and practice. So that's a quote that I have written down at my workstation at home. So I see it every day. And again, that's just something that I've tried to weave into the fabric of my everyday of who I am. Even is habit is persistence and practice.
Fire. So. See, and I was gonna say, do you have any parting words?
That's my parting word. I had that. I was getting it ready for you. That's why I was looking at the phone.
Fire. That is Amar. I'm Baith. This is the
this.
Grown Man Shift podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. You can hit up the email grownmanshitpodcast@gmail.com.
I like it.
Any suggestions, any conversations you want to see had, if you want to pull up to the pod yourself, please. I do Zoom calls as well and all that. But I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. For real. You could be any in the world, but you're here with me.
Here with me.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Peace.